Yeah, and Aki's their main branch is in Malta. The Malta one was really really good. It's a bit spenny, um, but you pay for like you pay for the experience. So I want to try the English branch. It opened up like not that long ago. I think it's been about a month. So yeah, definitely, bro. When you go to if you go to Chiang Mai, go to Khao Soi. It's so good. It's amazing. I'm not sure about the exact. One sec, I'll put it in chat. Let me get it up in here. Follow their not Ali. It's so Cavendish Square. So very very central for Aki's. It's one Cavendish Square, W1GOLA. Um, and then the Khao Soi. The Khao Soi is in. One sec. Let me. Oxford Circus. House was in Oxford Circus. 9 to 10 Marketplace, London, W1W8AQ. Khao Soi, yeah. Yeah, just remember Khao Soi, you'll be fine. Yeah, not far, bro. It's London, obviously, so everything is going to be hiked up in prices. Like, I was in Chelsea last night, because my friend has a house in Chelsea, and then, so she took me to this pub. Apparently, it's owned by some like, oh, whether it's some sort of actor or something, like really, really expensive pub, bro. They were charging me like £25 for a Disaronno Saba, bro. 25. And I was feeling it as well, so I got like 10. But still, it's the principle, bro. £25 for a Disaronno Saba. Crazy prices. I was like, what the hell? Forget beating inflation, bro. We're not even beating the Disaronno Saba prices. That's crazy. £25? I think somewhere around there, bro. Let me check. One sec. Um, it's 32. It's not 40. It's 30. Yeah, 32. $32.89. Yeah. So that UK restricting use of stablecoins. Firstly, the prick who's in charge of the Bank of England, right? He shouldn't even have a say in what's actually going to be implemented by the government because they're not like a body that can actually enforce rules, right? So I don't know why it's piping up, but for now, luckily it's only GBP stablecoins, which I don't use anyway. But it's the principle. It's the principle, isn't it? Like, because if they can do that, what's stopping them from just saying, "Oh yeah, that's going to be the same with all other stablecoins as well." Um, so for now, it's if you're holding in GBP stablecoins, you can't hold more than £20,000, right? But if this regime they sort of get tighter and tighter, and they make it so that you can only hold like GBP stablecoins, you can only hold a certain amount of, let's say, foreign stablecoins, then that rule will mess everyone up anyway. So it's just the principle of them like being able to tell you what to do with your money and when and how much and why. Like I told you, it's terrible. Like from 2026 onwards, they'll have the power because I forgot what the AI is called, but they have this special AI now. But they can access everything, like everything you've done, even if you think you're hiding it well, unless you're like some state of the art GI Joe type shit, you're not gonna hide it, right? Every transaction you made, everything you've done, is gonna be visible to them. And also, they're taking it as far as they're going to monitor your social media accounts, right? They're going to look at your Instagram, they're going to look at your Facebook, so on and so forth. They're going to look at how you live in, right? How you live in lavish, or you're on holiday every other week. They're going to compare that to how much are you paying in taxes, right? How much income have you reported, so on and so forth. And then they're going to like come after you, send you letters if they think there's a mismatch. It's absolutely dire. It's terrible. That is sickening, honestly. Just gonna delete my socials, honestly. Yeah, that's it. They'll start using AI, bro. Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. Like shouting communist, communist, this and that. But we got the biggest communist government we could imagine right now. It's actually terrible. Uh, I don't get why, because it's like just embrace it. Just embrace the change. You're going to, you've already got the infrastructure to lead, right? Europe, UK has already got the infrastructure to lead. So I don't know why they're being like this. Yeah, that's it. They love control. That's what it's about. I suppose once you get to that stage in your life, right? Once you get to that stage in your life where you've earned everything, and you no longer have to be like, oh, I want this. Let me work hard for this. Like you've already made your money. You can get whatever you want. Once you've got to that stage in your life, I suppose that sort of you lose that sort of touch, don't you? You're like, because when you don't have to look forward to being able to get anything, you don't have any goals. Let's say the next thing you do is, I suppose, look at how you can mess with other people. Yeah, they will. I mean, bro, from London alone, I think there were like 10,000 something millionaires that left. Like in, I forgot whether it was this year or last year, but they had like a massive migration of like actual high net worth individuals. Honestly, bro, I don't know if I'll stay in here till 2030 fully, right? So yeah, this is what it is. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but yeah. Why did I open up Steam? Hang on, to open up TradingView. El Salvador, yeah, must be. Yeah, bro, it's so terrible, man. I've got a friend, right? I've got a friend whose sadly uncle passed away. Bless him. I'll be in my prayers. He got a 20 million inheritance, right, from his uncle passing away. His uncle passed away in the UK, so the tax laws that's going to be applied in the UK. So we can say that's literally from that 20 million estate that his uncle's already paid tax for his entire life, right? Because it's an estate. Half of that's going to go straight back to the government just for switching hands. Can you imagine? That's absolutely terrible. And I know, people are going to be like, oh, he's already got 10 million. Like, what's the problem? That's not the point, is it? It's like, imagine going from 20 million, you get something from your family member that's passed away, and you have to give half straight to the government for doing absolutely nothing. They was asking me, like, oh, what should I do? I was like, bro, I don't know what to do in this situation. Like, I have no idea. I've not had a 20 million inflow literally just like that. Yeah, exactly, right? You get taxed on this, taxed on that. You get taxed on dying as well. Like, it's terrible. But he's one of the people that's going to be one of the like first people to put money into the hedge funds as well. Yeah, that's why I decided to do it this way. Um, at the start, like only taking sort of institutional level of when I say institutions, I don't necessarily mean like just institutions. I mean like people I know who are in a position in life where they can like depart with 100k minimum and be like, yes, it's nothing. Because I've seen too many people who like throw everything they have into a hedge fund when they need that money because they think the hedge fund's gonna make them money. Right? I don't want people treating what I'm doing like that. So only after proven results will I open it to like more sort of like everyday sizes, let's say. Yeah, no, that's completely. I do the same thing, bro. Like that's not shady at all. That's not shady at all. I do the same thing. Like you pay taxes on your work, you pay taxes on your income, you pay taxes on things you buy, like through VAT, anything imported, anything exported. There is zero reason why the government should have a hand on getting any money of what your family member passes to you after they've crossed the threshold, right? To the other side. That should not be taxed. Anyway, I'll give it 3 more minutes and we get started, guys. Today, probably be a slightly longer stream because I want to go over the macros. I want to go over Bitcoin, of everything. We'll look at loads of alts. What am I doing now, right? And then we'll look at stocks as well. Take a look at everything. So maybe like 2.5 hours if we go at a decent rate. Where there is max blood, there is max opportunity. So let's take a look. But yeah, let me share my screen. There we go. And you guys let me know if you can see that. The ICP TP was perfect, eh? That literally that I went over this with you guys on the consolidation session, right? The distribution we saw in the 3 minutes. I'm gonna start sizing up an ICP here because I do think this has a shot to go higher. I want to see this hit T2, you know, maybe 1.618 if things go really well. But we can start sizing up on this one. It's better if you can close above $5.84, of course. But this is just following the dump that Bitcoin had, right? Literally just following the dump that Bitcoin had. But we can see like alts holding strong, right? So this is what I mean when I say people are screaming bear market, but bear market on what, right? Because if you look at alts, anyone screaming bear markets or alts when they're sat at their last supports, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Like, you know, if you're gonna take a shot, if you're gonna size up now, if you're gonna build spot back, it's gonna be on these altcoins, right? I've always said Bitcoin, you don't have the RR, right? We've hit our blow off top targets. We've seen weakness at our blow off top targets. It's what it is. It's the whole reason I've not given any Bitcoin signals, right? I just haven't, because Bitcoin's had its move. That's something we've been saying for a long time. Remember, the blow off top targets were always, if I go to Bitcoin here, it was always between, especially 109 to 132, right? We've hit 101, we've hit 109, we've hit 121, right? The 3.14. The only thing we haven't hit is the 3.618. And is it over? Who knows, right? If we can reclaim this, right, within a couple of weeks, we might have one more drive up to that 3.618. We might not, right? But it doesn't matter, right? These are just targets. They're not guaranteed to hit. All we have is significant levels, and we read the price action around significant levels, right? So our blow off top target was always in between this. We've hit that. This is for now a attempted break-in structure, right, on the higher time frame. We haven't had one on the monthly yet. If you're looking for Hopium, we haven't had one on the monthly yet. You can see the last higher low on the monthly is at 75k, right? So if this does confirm a higher low, then there is opportunity for this to resume its trend, but that's on the higher time frame. A lot of work will need to be done if you want this to resume, right? Because on the weekly, on the 3-day, on the daily, so on and so forth, a lot of bearish actions taking place, right? The Shark 2.24, for example, resistance. If we take a look over here on Bitcoin, this one then. If we take a look at this one, what else do we know? We also know the lower high came in at the area we discussed, right? We said we do not want this to be resistance, we want it to be support. It went and confirmed this area as resistance, right? You didn't even touch the 2024 high. The 2025 6-month seller zone low is what you put your last lower high in before you had this move down. So Bitcoin is very simple right now, right? You've rated these ranges. You've obviously all of that has been rated, right? I want to see this butterfly get hit, because that butterfly getting hit would also rate that vertical accumulation right there, right? You would rate the vertical accumulation. You'd see the weekly fair value gap, or is it the daily? One sec. It's both the daily and the weekly, but let's look at the daily. You see the daily fair value gap being filled, and of course you'd also see the M-shaped completion, right? We have a 786, the 1.272, 2.24 PRZs between 97.45 and 89.313, and if you decide to have an extension, you have the hop of the butterfly at the 1.414, around 86.775, right? I'd want to see one stab into there. Let's rate all these people, and then maybe go a bit deeper than you think, go around 86, and then reclaim and maybe, like, go up. If we go up to a lower high, or whether we go up to make new highs, I don't care, right? Like I said, Bitcoin's done. What we'll be telling is, if you go to make that lower high, right, you'll have a higher time frame, right? You'll have a higher time frame opportunity to actually go and be like, okay, do I like severely de-risk? Do I open up some massive swing shorts on Bitcoin? Or do I, if you reclaim key levels, for example, or do you just sit back and watch as this goes and makes a new all-time high again after all the bears are like blown out again over time, right? So I want to see this completion on Bitcoin. It's very simple here. This for now, this is a front run, right? But what I want to see is, again, I want to see that completion. So let's see if we get it. We've got the 2025 6-month buy zone high. We've got the 2024 12-month seller zone low below us. We've got the 2025 6-month macro read buy zone mid at 90. A lot of confluence in this area, all right? Not only that, if you are to if I was to do this, for example, right? Let me do this once here, and we'll put this into group 2 as well, lock it in place. In fact, let's do this. This is Bitcoin. If you look at this on log, what you will also notice is, if I'm not mistaken, there, we have a very, very important line here in terms of trend on log, right? On linear, obviously, it's much, much lower, but right now I'm looking at log, right? For higher time frame, I like to correlate between the both. So we're approaching that said trend line on log as well, which, of course, like I said, that's going to have correlation. If you look at what the target is, that has correlation with your all the levels we just talked about, right? It has correlation with these levels here. It has correlation with this over here, right? The PRZ for Bitcoin. So very, very confluential area coming up, meaning that even if it's not the bottom, right? Or even if it's just the reactionary move you get off it, this is where you would expect that reactionary move to come, right? Maybe a bit of chop, because obviously, like, if that's where liquidity sat, there's going to be front runs and liquidity rates. But around this area is where you would expect that reaction to come to the upside, whether it to be to another lower high, right? Doesn't really matter. But that's, if you're looking for the area of reaction, that's where I'd expect it to be. Not only that, but if we take a look more locally, right? We're going to take a look more locally. You take that fib retracement from this low to this high. That area is also where the golden pocket is, right? The 618. So loads and loads of confluence here. Not only that, but something I've not done in a while with you guys is look at diagonals, right? So if I was to go and take a look at diagonals with you once, right? So if I open up this, first and foremost, we're going to look at our fib channel. There's the macro fib channel, right, that we're looking at. Where are we? Right above here. What is that? That is the front run of a range extreme, right? Remember, this zone right over here, that's going to be representing the front run of a range extreme, right? It was resistance at one point, you've broken out, you've not retested it. So if this holds, what was once resistance is going to flip into support while you front run the actual level that most people are going to be looking for, right? So you've got that confluence coming for you as well. Not only that, but you are now in a very important area. As you can see, the macro 5-speed resistance fan from your last cycle, right? You are at the 586, the 618 zone, right? There's your 586, there's your 618 right over there. We know we need to turn this area into support, right? That 586, 618. As long as that's support, we know we're ranging in between this range. So we need this to be support, because if we can hold this range here as support, we know that eventually it's not a stretch to say we can go and target the highs, right? Because we know, historically speaking, that's what happens, right? Anytime you hold this as support, you go and you rate that 0.5, you attempt to go for that 414, right? So we've had that. Not only that, of course, we know there's also the proper 50 resistance fan from the first wave of the cycle. So if we do this, from this low to this high, you can see where we are, right? For now, we've lost to the support. You know, we need to get above this, obviously, but we can see anytime this is resistance, you know, we can expect lower prices, right? So what we want is, we want this to reclaim as soon as possible. You reclaim this, you know, you're looking at the other diagonals again. You don't reclaim this, then we can't be surprised if you get that slightly deeper drop, which would take us towards those 86k, you know, 84k PRZ levels of the butterfly we were talking about, right? So we've got 1, we've got 2, and again, this is just normal price action. Look, it's like like you said, we're literally confined within the same diagonals. We haven't been able to break above that 586, 618, right? That 618 is what keeps dropping us down. That zone between the 618 and the 586. You ever break that, you go high, but for now, we're just not able to do it, right? We're just not. So from here, even if we go, like I said, even if we have a high low here to go and put another lower high in, that's fine, right? That's fine. I just want to see what kind of reaction do we get from this very crucial area that we're approaching on Bitcoin. So we look at this downtrending now from your last high to your last low. You are at support, right? You can see here support, resistance, back to support. So again, looking at diagonals, we know we're at a very, very crucial area, right? We're at a very, very crucial area. If this area can hold, right, we have very nice intersections in this area. If it can hold, we can't be surprised if, like, you know, by the end of December, even by the start of January is when we move back up towards 115, right? But we have intersections to the downside. Sure, we have loads of intersections to the downside if they decide they're just going to nuke the market, right? But we also now have intersections to the upside, right? There's intersections here. Start of January, there's intersections up over here, right? Depending on what kind of, if you get some sort of, maybe, right? It's a stretch right now, but if you get some sort of V-shaped reversal, we can't be surprised if we go back up towards 120s, right? So even if you forget about intersections, we're at a very, very crucial area right now. You can very easily see that, right? This intersection that was once providing resistance has the opportunity to flip to support, and should that happen, is very, you know, we can very easily go up, and, you know, whether we put again another lower high in or we resume to a new all-time high, who knows, right? Who knows? Who cares at this point? But if you're looking for the reaction, if you're looking for market structure areas you need to hold right now to be able to go sideways and not break down, this is it, right? And that's the main thing on Bitcoin. So you've got your diagonals, and of course you've got your horizontals as well. Use those both for intersections in confluence with each other, right? Other time frame buy seller zones, and this right there. We have that, and we have this, right? So very, very crucial area here for Bitcoin. I hope we get that sort of 86k like flush, right? And then sort of like a V-shaped recovery to reclaim and then carry on going higher, whether that be to a lower high or new highs. I don't care, right? But that area, like I said, that we need to maintain is right here for Bitcoin. Very, very crucial areas, extremely crucial. On things like the daily, on things like the weekly, like your broken structure, right? Which is why I'm saying I don't know whether they're gonna, the next impulse up, I don't know whether it's gonna be a lower high, or I don't know if they're gonna go and, like, you know, bamboozle the bears and put a new high in. Who knows, right? Because again, weekly and daily now, the last high lows that led to the high highs have all been taken out, right? The only thing that's safe is realistically monthly above, because on the monthly, the last high low that led to the high high has not been taken out. So option number one, this is either another elongated flush that Bitcoin loves to give after big moves up before it goes higher, or option number two, this reaction is going to give us a lower high, and that lower high is where you execute. If you see the RR opportunity, if you see the area where you can easily manage your stops, right, to further now carry on with the downtrend that the daily, the 3 days, the weekly, the 2 weeks even is now showing us, right? So I hope that you know, we go and pull one more top in. I don't know if it's gonna happen, right? That's what I hope for. But even if it doesn't, like, you know, that lower high, whenever we get it, that's gonna be a beautiful one, right? This area just needs to hold for that lower high to make sense. That's it. So that's Bitcoin. Reclaim to higher. Yeah, nice, bro. So that's Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum's holding that 1.272 in this case now. That's the max extension the the max extension a BAT is allowed is the 1.13, right? That's the hop. Like we've hit that. We're trying to hold it. Will we hold it? We'll have to see. We're a historical price range mid. And even if we don't look at it in that regard, right? We can have one more drop in Ethereum and it'd be fine because we can see there's that impulse mid, right? From the 2021 to 2022 drop. Support, resistance, resistance. So we can come and, as long as that holds on Ethereum like 2,850-ish, we're good. Eventually I'll look for that reclaim to higher. But this is a nasty flush, right? I know loads of memes are flying out the woodworks. Like, Ethereum only went like, how much higher was it from previous all-time highs? Like, it only went like, literally like nothing, right? Of its previous all-time highs. So I hope that yellow line holds for Ethereum, and then, we sort of reclaim the historical price ranges and then slowly go higher. But for now, let me take a look, 1 sec. 86 of the BAT, 1.13 of the BAT is right over here. Is there any other wave structure I see? 1 sec. I mean, that could be construed as a butterfly, to be honest. Here's the 886. I mean, the max extension is 746, not quite a 786, obviously, but so you can either take it as a butterfly. The ratios will match. 1.414 is right here. That's the hop of the butterfly, right? So we know there's a 1.13 of a BAT, there's a 1.414 of a butterfly, and I have a feeling if you do this, that is going to be an 886, yeah. And the 1.618, so if you go slightly deeper, you'll have the 2.0, the hop of the deep, in this case, the deep crab, right? You'll have the hop of a deep crab as well. So you have M-shaped completions for Ethereum as well, is what I'm trying to say, right? Along with your horizontal levels. And of course, you can go and do diagonals for Ethereum too. But the key point here is many of these things now are support, right? All of a sudden, everyone on CT is bearish, and everyone's like, giving you targets of some ridiculous down. It always happens, right? When you're going up, everyone's going to give you like 6, 7, 8K ETH targets. When you're going down, everyone's going to give you like, triple-digit ETH targets. We are approaching very, very important support on Ethereum. You do not have an RR on shorts here. You do not have an RR on even selling spots here until like, the areas where you are clearly lost. Because if you wanted to sell your spot, and you wanted to sell or you wanted to short, you do so when you see weakness up here is before you have the bulk of the move down, right? There's no reason we got out of Ethereum spot, right? We took profits on the challenge account up here, and I'm not telling you to take profits down over here. We're looking to size up here. Should we get the size up opportunity now, right? But all of a sudden, everyone sees like, BTC to 50K and 40K, and Ethereum to like, triple digits, and Solana to $0, so on and so forth. You just got to look at things objectively. It's always emotions talking. Always emotions talking, but the fact of the matter is we're approaching strong support for Ethereum, right? It's going to be strong support. How do we know that? Because this is an area where you can see loads of trading activity that has taken place before, right? So all of it's not going to be like all of a sudden it's just going to slide. I mean, obviously it can happen, it's crypto, but the chances of that is very, very unlikely, right? This is the type of area where you now got to wait to see, do buyers lose, right? Do sellers actually manage to breach the buyers and completely take all the demand off the market? If so, that is bearish, and you would look for that retest for you to confirm that level as resistance, and then you look for lower, right? But for now, all of a sudden everyone's shorting these lows and everyone's going bearish and selling everything they have at these lows. It's a recipe for a short squeeze, in my opinion, right? But we'll see, right? But the 1.272 for the ABCD got hit, and you've had a nice pullback since then. So if we look at ETH against BTC, ETH against BTC still above the macro point of control, still holding 2020 12-month seller zone mid. It is a slow bleed down. It is a disgusting bleed down, but like I said, we had up only for such a long time, right? This is why I kept saying I'm not going to size up, I'm not going to size up, I'm not going to size up. I'm just running with what I have for the ETH against BTC on the challenge account. Because when something like this happens, there is going to be an eventual time frame like this. This is simply what I was waiting for. So now I'm just going to slowly size back into ETH against BTC, size up on ETH against BTC, ETH against BTC, and hopefully right? Fingers crossed, it's not over, and we get that 382 minimum. We challenge that, fixed range volume profile high, and hopefully we get that 618 towards 0.06, right? So we'll see. But if this macro point of control is lost, I've just got a big rectangle. If this is turned to resistance, then this is going to go all the way back down here, and I'll just close the entirety of the challenge account with whatever profits is at that point, right? Minus the ones I've already taken. With whatever profits is at this point, I will just close the entire challenge account ETH against BTC if this turns into resistance. But what I'm hoping is that, just slow grind, maybe a couple raids that reclaims, holds, and then we eventually get that move up on ETH against BTC, right? To that next leg up. Something like this, from here to here. Extend line right, no, don't do that. So if this is the low, something like this, and if you put it to the point of breakout, let's say we break out from something like this, right? The measured move would take it to the upside like that. So let me just create a group of drawings. Turn that off. But yeah, that's ETH against BTC. I don't want them to give us like a proper type to return here, right? I don't want that, simply because we haven't even hit T1, right? We haven't even hit T1. They might give it, but we haven't even hit T1. Well, we'll see. Just because I don't want it doesn't mean it will happen, right? But that's Bitcoin, that's ETH, that's ETH against BTC. As you can see, everything is at major support. It's not coincidence, right? Bitcoin's a major support. It's even approaching further major support a bit to the downside. ETH's a major support, but there's even more support a bit further to the downside, right? So, will we front run this entire M shape and just, ping it back up? Will we hit the M shape? We'll just have to see, right? But what I know is right now where we are, this is a front runner major support, right? In terms of actually hitting key levels, we haven't done so yet. You can also notice the way how CME closed last night, right? It was absolutely filthy. If I go to master list even, and we look at Bitcoin CME, here, CME's weekly close was, I'm on log, yeah, I'm on log. CME's weekly close was terrible, right? That was CME's weekly close. It's a very, very nasty weekly close. So, this weekend we might bounce. We might bounce this weekend over today and tomorrow. We might bounce. If we get that bounce, I won't be surprised if that bounce leads to another level high to slightly further, right? Because on CME, I believe that's a CME gap. If I go and, yep, that CME gap has not been hit. So they might just take this before they go higher, right? I wouldn't be surprised. So any sort of bounce we get this weekend, take it with a pinch of salt, in my opinion, right? Because that CME weekly close is nasty. Huge aggressive selling coming in. And for now, the sellers have obviously been rewarded. We can see that, right? So yeah, but I think hopefully they take the CME gap and then run it back up again. Wipe all this out, take the CME gap and then run it back up. Whether it be to a lower high or it be to just sort of another high, I don't care. But if you're looking for that reaction, loads of reasons for why this would be it. Yeah. No, I haven't, bro. I haven't. I'm very right now, like I'm very I only look at like a few accounts seriously for my info. It's like the less noise there is, the more there is. Everyone has their own opinions. Like I don't trade based off other people's opinions. I trade based on my own, right? But I've not checked X much to begin with, like. But anyway, what I want to do next is, if you guys have any questions, put in chat. Otherwise, I want to space bar through alts. Right? Like I've said, the magic is in alts right now. It's not in Bitcoin. It's not in Ethereum. Right? I mean, to be honest, like if you manage to catch that like sort of reversal on Bitcoin, there is magic in Bitcoin right now as well. Right? We just got on the very bottom, so you can get a nice long off, right, on Bitcoin too, on ETH2. But if you're looking to just shove spot in and just hold, accumulate over the next few months, right? It's alts. It's going to be alts. So let's go and take a look at those. But real quick, Dixie, ranging, right? Very, very range bound on Dixie. This is just going to be a quick space bar. Dixie range bound. Like I said, we just can't be surprised, right? The 382 is held for now. But I think Dixie's going to roll over at some point. It's not going to go up here, in my opinion. I don't think that's going to happen, right? USDT dominance. Still at resistance. We've not actually broken out yet. So again, we need that, we need USDT dominance to break out if bears are to really get their full-on breakdown scenario, we want USDT dominance like breaking out and going to the upside. Let me take a look. Do we have any sort of reasons for why this might be? Do we see any W shapes is the question I'm asking. And if we do this, what's that? That's a liquidation wick, but 618 was hit. There we go. Okay, so we have a there we go. We have a 786 right over here. That's the 764. This is a 786, right? So we have W-shaped completions here. That's something to consider, right? Stablecoin USDT dominance has bearish Gartley hit right over here. So this is the Gartley 0.786. Oh, and this up over here, should it carry on going higher, there is an 886 a bit further up as well. There we go, right there. So this would be like the sort of max extension I'd wanted on this, right? Deep Gartley 0.886. There we go. So we are reaching W-shaped completions, right? Take that how you will, but we know if this was a normal chart, would you be looking for longs here? No, you'd be looking for shorts, right? You're looking for weakness. And what does that correlate to in this chart? Weakness here correlates to strength in the crypto market. So let's see what kind of reaction we get at this W-shaped completion. Because this coming down, again, you know, bears are going to be left with the dicks in their hands if we get a massive impulse to the upside. Should we play it back out to the downside from here? If we flip this entire area into support, yeah, bears are going to get rewarded. In most likelihood, we probably break out and we go higher than people are expecting. You know, 7% even, right? But for now, as we speak, because again, there is no bull, there is no bear, there is only what is the market telling you, right? In terms of that, the market is telling you right now that this is at a PRZ of a completed bearish wave structure, right? And if that bearish wave structure is confirmed by the sellers and the buyers, and it plays out alongside that bearish wave structure, this is going to go down, which is going to correlate to, again, a relief in the crypto markets, right? So let's see how this plays out. Bitcoin dominance per stablecoin dominance still below the mid, right? You know, as long as if you know we can keep grinding up, but if you don't get above that mid, eventually you're looking for that 66% to get taken, which is again going to be good for the altcoin market, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, so on and so forth, right? So total, let's take a look. What is total doing? I think for total, it's probably better to look at this chart. Looks like 3 trillion is probably in the cards at this point, to be honest. You hit the 2.618 of your ABCD, and you've come down. Like it's just typical structure here. We have approaching areas of a M-shaped completion. You have a shark, and if you have an extension, you'll have a 1.13, which in this case is actually very nice. So total one has room for, like, you know, it has room between the 886 right over here. Let me just go put this down. $3.1. And then we have 2.24, it's the max extension, which is right here. We'll go into Ultra after this, guys. That's what I really want to look at. There's so many juicy areas, like you just slowly fill your bags. This is Shark 2.24. Max pain would probably be this deep one hitting, in my opinion. shock 1.13. There we go. So these are the levels you're looking for total 1, right? Here's the shark 886. If you lose that, realistically, you're probably going to get the 2.24 to the 1.13 area. If that happens, you're most likely after a lower high, right? Because you'll have taken this low out, shift in structure, get the lower high is what your first target would be. And then if the lower high gets invalidated, then you can talk about, you know, resuming to the upside. But otherwise, you'd be talking about that lower high. It's a shame because that 4.42 would have been so juicy, like that 4.42, that deep crab being validated. I still hope we get it, but if not, this is going to be one of those, like, you know, just front running of a really nice wave structure here. But let's go. I'm going to switch on over to this, right? Something I've not done in a while is the same list we're at. We're just going to start absolutely space barring. Okay, we're going to space bar. We're going to look at what alts is sat where, and then we're going to take it from there. Nice, welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Okay. So, before we do this, actually, is there any alts you guys are looking at? Let's get those out the way first, and then we can spacebar. Otherwise, I'll just spacebar through everything. Your alts will probably be in my spacebar anyway. I've got a lot of alts in the master list. On the way back 3. Okay, we'll take a look at that. That'll be in there. Zig, we'll take a look at that. Okay, so let's go through those first. Let's look at. I mean, that's going to be here. Ondo, AVAX, and SWE is going to be on. AVAX, nasty piece of work. This one. It's just distribution, and while I was hoping would finally go up, another lower high, straight to distribution. Was it on log? Yes, on log. One sec. This is not on log. Why have I even got that on there? There we go. So the original chart we were looking at on AVAX was, there's this as well. This one here, right? Focus, feed, focus. There we go. Let's take a look at AVAX. This chart, you know what? This chart needs an update. I've not looked at this in a while. So this, get out of there. Get realistically, I think I can just get rid of all of this, to be honest. Hang on. I've had so much shit drawn on this over the while. Yeah, all of this can get taken out. Hang on. .ts chart. There you go. Yep. Get rid of that. Now, what do we have? We had this marked out as a, what was it? Daily? It doesn't matter actually, it's already been taken, I just realized. So, why have I got this here? Ah, okay, yeah, that's why. Get rid of this one. Not valid. Get rid of this one. Get rid. Get rid. Get rid. Oh, this is old stuff. Shark 1.13. Keep that in there in case it actually plays out. Delete that. BC. Okay, so this can get deleted. The 86 is no longer valid on AVA. I mean, it still is. I don't like to account for that liquidation wick because we know that was forced on the market, right? So if we get rid of some of these, one sec, keep that, but get rid of, keep that, the actual patterns, there we go. Are we holding the 886? And the answer is we probably still are, right? That 886 is what we're still fighting with. That's what you don't want to lose, right? You don't want to lose that 886. And also, Liquidation wick mid. Yep, there we go. Not a surprise. So the area you're at right now, as we speak, the reason AVAX keeps bouncing off this level, and buyers know this, right? Buyers know they need to maintain this level because accounting, or rather discounting, for the liquidation wick, right? In terms of the 886, and accounting for the liquidation wick in terms of your buyer zone, this is the crucial area that needs to hold. On the lower time frame, you can get loads of scalp to swing trades off from this area, right? Now, for example, you go and flip 15.52 back into support, you are long in this, right? You're long in this whether it just be a reactionary scalp or you're just trying to build a position over time. You go, however, and you start turning this into resistance, right? This goes down. AVAX, I would not be surprised after that point if AVAX just absolutely puked down to like single digit levels. I wouldn't be surprised. I was hoping that 699 would have hit, because if that had been hit, I would not need to worry about this 1.272 anymore. But it didn't get hit, right? So if you lose this mid right over here, we can't be surprised if AVAX does go down towards this area. And if it goes here, I will scoop up a lot of AVAX for myself. But for now, right, if this holds, your line in the sand is very, very simple for AVAX here, right? If you literally just want to make a decisions, keep it very, very simple. You don't want a big zone to worry about. You just want to know that area they need to hold between 15.52 and 15.27 is what you're after. That's it. If this turns to resistance, AVAX has lower to go. If this doesn't turn to resistance and it holds, we can't be surprised if this is taken out and AVAX goes back up towards even 22 maybe, right? Before you sort of range for a bit. I don't know, right? But what I do know is right now as we speak, the line in the sand you need to hold on AVAX is right over here. On the daily, there's bullish divergences building up, right? There's bullish divergence building up on the daily. As we can see, that sell-off, the RSI is not indicating. RSI went into oversold and is holding that oversold levels and is trying to actually flip it into support. So there is bullish divergence building up on the daily, which makes me think we could get a move back to the upside, but it's only on the daily for now. It's not on any of the other time frames, right? But that indicates that we could get some short, bounces off this, relief bounces, so on and so forth. And anyone is holding AVAX they want to get rid of, right? Then if we get that bounce and you see more lower highs coming in, aggressive sellers step in at a particular key area, right? Whatever key area you might have, then use that to offload some of your AVAX if you think we are going to go lower, right? But for AVAX right now, very simple, right? Even if you're a scalper or you're a swinger, it doesn't really matter. But the line in the sand is extremely, extremely clear here, right? Literally stripping everything, keeping it bareback. This is it. This is the level AVAX absolutely needs to hold right now. Because if it doesn't, you can see if it doesn't, right? We're talking pretty much single digit AVAX again. We're talking that. So this needs to hold, absolutely needs to hold on AVAX. This coin has been much weaker than I would like, right? I was anticipating at least 70% on this. We didn't even get that. It's what it is, right? Not everything's gonna play out how you think it is. And this is also not saying, oh yeah, AVAX is dead, right? Because eventually everything, it's all liquidity game, right? It's always a liquidity game. If we're still on the distribution mode, it's what it is. We were just a bit too early to try and play that huge spot position for a swing. It's what it is, right? We'll wait till the distribution's done and just retry again. But for now, AVAX, there's your line in the sand. Keeping it very simple, nothing fancy. Literally just key levels. That's it, right there. Okay, so let's look at Ondo next. Where's Ondo? Right over here. Ooh, actually, I failed to notice that. That would have been a nice short. Yeah, I failed to notice that. You do not. What I was going to say was you don't want to be below this, but we're below it. You've got saving graces here now. Let's look at the weekly. First thing I'll put down is on the 6 months. One sec. Get out of my screen, bro. You need to move. Okay, so that was your macro read seller zone. Yep. So your buyer zone was right there. Get rid of the one. This is 6 month, 1 star. This is your buy zone mid. 6 month, 1 star low. for 2025. Well, it's alright, we know it's 2025 anyway. We don't know it's 2025. One sec, guys, sorry. Right, we're below that. That much is obvious. So Ondo needs to reclaim. The important thing to reclaim for Ondo is this right here, right? 0.68813 to 0.69512. Below that, Ondo's it's risking it. It's risking it. And the last one I'll put down is this right here. So from this high to this low, I'm gonna make it yellow. There we go. Don't need to bother with those two. Only thing we're interested in is this. This is 2024 6 month. This is 2-star. Low. So this is your final saving grace right now, you could say, for Ondo. If you cannot get above this, 50 cents Ondo is what you're looking for. If Ondo loses 50 cents, realistically, like, it's going back down towards 30s probably. Because even in terms of like this, bro, we've got loads of key levels here. Ondo's just below them all, like his peak. What about the 4 months? Yeah, there's something on the 4 months. Okay, so I don't want too many horizontals on my screen, so I'm gonna do this. Buyer zone. Okay, that's good. Ondo's holding that 4-month buyer zone, right there. You can see it's been a very, very important level. If you lose that, very easy to do here. We just do this, we do this, and we do this. Perfect. Nothing else needed after that. Let's make this one red. This is, I'm just gonna say 2024 4-month. This is macro read buyer zone high. 2024 4-month macro read buyer zone mid, and this is your 2024. Well, it's already there, but I'm just gonna say 2024 low. Yeah, perfect. So with that in mind, if we now go back to the weekly, we can see why we are where we currently are. This is your quarterly. This is your 4-month buyer zone mid, right? Right there. This is your 4-month buyer zone mid. You do not want to lose that 4-month buyer zone mid. If that's lost, it's 50 cents. If 50 cents is lost, it's 38 cents. 38 cents is lost. Honestly, send this shit back down to like to the lows, because you know below this, you just wait for some sort of bottoming structure to form. That's it. You don't own this for no reason, right? Over here, at least we have hopes that buyers might step in, rate the lows, and go higher, right? We've had loads of reactions from here before. Below that, we don't really have hope of that. There's no point hoping for that, because that liquidation wick's already filled in your inefficiencies, right? Your fair value gap, your demand zone, everything's been hit, right? So now, if buyers can't step in still, it's just going to be a slow bleed until buyers are ready to step in, and that's that. The last thing I'll put down is the liquidation wick, and I might as well just make that back. There we go. So liquidation wick is right there. So for now, you have on Ondo, you have 56 cents less, 0.567. Below that you have this, below that you have this, below that you have this. 4 key levels. You just need bullish structure to come in, you need buyers to hold. That's all you need. But I don't like the fact that you're below 68 cents, right? Above 68 cents is where you want to be on Ondo, 0.688, because that's above your yearly mid from 2024, right? Right now, we're below that yearly mid. So we want to get above that as soon as possible. If not, then you're just looking at a series of lower highs, right? Lower highs and lower lows, grinding down lower, basically. Yeah, but again, if you take a look at RSI, lower lows, lower highs, but you have higher lows on RSI. Daily does look a bit oversold, right? Both on MACD and RSI, we can see there's bullish divergence building up on the daily. But let's see how strong of a reaction we can get off that finally playing out, right? That's Ondo. Sui. Sui's the one that's absolutely puked. Let's take a look. Where's Sui? It's here. Same levels. The levels haven't changed, or same levels we've always looked at. We have turned the original range, standard deviation 3 value area high, as the last lower high, right? We're approaching now very, very key supports. Literally the original entry is where we're back at Sui. For the last play I gave, right? My original spot entry is much lower. Before the last entry given for the challenge account, right? That was over here. We saw the smiley face, we saw the breakout. That is where it was. We're back at those same areas. Like, it's ranging. Let's take a look. Well, we're not at any sort of support right now, in my opinion. I'd want it to hit this, so around 164 to 140 next. That's the area I'd want holding. But literally, to keep it simple, let me see which one. I've got another Sui chart somewhere. Is it this one? It is this one, I think. Yeah. Original range, below it, right? We can't be surprised if this goes back to range mid, below range high, like it's what it is. This has always been something we wanted to hold a support for Sui, and it did. The smiley face, another reason why that entry was there, was we got that literal smiley face at that key area. But now, that's a clear sort of breakdown, right? So a clear breakdown. We've got 1 days and 12 hours. They could pump it back and close above. Who knows? But if this closes below here, next week's either going to be straight continuation to the downside, or the next thing you'll be looking for if you do get a pump going into next week is a potential lower high. You're not going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to reverse out of here, right? That's not the mindset you should be adopting when there is such clear weakness coming in at your key areas. Here, the first thing you'll be looking for if you get a pump is a lower high. Can we actually break above? Are the aggressive sellers going to be rewarded? Are they going to be trapped? Because if they're trapped and they're not rewarded, then guess what? You're going to put in another macro lower high, and then you're going to nuke it down to $1.23 to $1, like literally $1. So you're gonna go there, right? And it's just what it is. You're gonna go there. So for Sui, $2 to $2.29 is your line in the sand. Was your macro line in the sand? For now, you're below it. The weekly hasn't closed yet, right? The weekly hasn't closed yet. And the 2 weeks is 8 days away from being closed. For higher time frame, as you can see, 2 weeks has been extremely telling for Sui. So who knows? In 8 days and 12 hours, you could be very well be above this, right? I'm hoping you are. I'm really hoping you are. For example, the last wick to consider here would be this one, right? There's the buy zone. You're challenging that wick right now, $1.71. You've hit it, you bounced off it. You need to close above this zone. That can happen. You can work on reclaiming this, and then if you reclaim this, you're looking to go back towards $4 Sui, right? But that work needs to be put in over here, because the range is very clear. Above this, your range is this, right? But you need to accept above $2.29 to get that range back in play. For now, that range is not in play because you're sleeping below that range. The last thing I'll put in here is there's your liquidation wick as well. So you can see very crucial area here on Sui, right? Very, very crucial. You don't want to lose this. And again, if you're a lower time frame trader, you can look for some scalp to swings attempts over here, right? Like for example, like if you've seen aggressive selling going on and them not being rewarded, a huge sell of aggressive selling, not even leading to that same low, you can build out like long positions over time with this, right? But again, on the higher time frame, you're not in the clear, right? But there is one thing to note is there is huge amounts of aggressive selling going on here, and that aggressive selling is going on. This is a bit nuanced, right? This is a bit nuanced because that aggressive selling is now going on off the fact that the lower high was put in, right? Huge amount of aggressive going on off the fact that the lower high was put in. But you got to ask yourself, was that lower high put in now, right at range lows, to induce a lot of FOMO shorts like we're seeing coming in on Sui, so they can be trapped? Now, this does not have bullish divergence like everything else. Well, it does, realistically, because lower lows in price, there's high lows in MACD, right there, we can see that. High lows in MACD. Technically, that is a higher low in RSI compared to that. But the question is, will the aggressive sellers be rewarded? Once say this is something I was looking at yesterday. This thing pumped like 150% and dumped like 100%, literally. But yeah, this was crazy, insane. But I'm looking at Sui. Let's not get distracted. One sec. So let's look at Sui on Binance. We're at fib levels as well. That much is obvious. Let's I actually want to look at this on, what will we look at? Will we look at this on the daily? I want to look at this on the daily. Come on. Show me what we're seeing. So far for this candle, there was 76.85 million total contracted volume. 5.12 million of that was shorts, right? So 5.12 million sweet was shorted over being longed. So looking at this on the daily, I would say the aggressive sellers were rewarded because there's nothing in the charts telling me how on earth did the candles look so different. What's going on? One sec. This is, I'm looking at perp versus no, it can't be. It's just the same. Why does it look so different? This is the daily, right? Yeah, this is the daily. And that's the daily. How on earth? Oh, it's because I'm sorry. I'm having a brain fart moment, guys. That's my fault. Yeah, no, it's the same, right? Let me completely clear this chart up. Let's do a few things. Okay, so let me switch over firstly just to normal candles. Yeah, there we go, much better. Okay, so like we were saying, right? For SWI, we have number one, this very key area. There we go. The reason why you don't want to lose $2 is because you have this buyer-seller zone. And I think it is prudent, well, this is 2023, and how much data do we have from 2023? May. So we could probably just put the seller zone on as well, to be honest. And I'm going to color that blue. So here, let's get rid of the 0. No, let's get rid of the 1. This is your 2023 high. This is your 2024 low. 23, 24, 12-month buy seller zone mid. 2023 12-month seller zone mid. 2023 12-month seller zone low. Okay, so we've got some key areas on the bag already. And the other thing I did over here was I had the actual range marked, I believe, right? On 4625. No. Okay, so I've got everything that we need over here. So how come I don't have 138? And then let's go to the 12 months here. Okay, so what we also have here, of course, is the macro read, right? So previous cycle from this low to this high, it's that macro read. And for now, if I put that one in dark green, this is 2024 high, 24 read, Python mid, and 2024 low is already there, so we can get rid of the 0. No, we can get rid of the 1. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, that's the key levels we want. Again, we can see why we want to be above this. In terms of the 6 months now, something I haven't done in the other chart, I would like to go ahead and put this on. And the reason for that is very simple. This is your star buyer zone high. Mid, low, there. So here's key levels galore, $1.71, crucial line in the sand, because that's your literal 6-month low, right? Like we talked about there. And if it's not for that one, we also have, of course, the liquidation wick, and the liquidation wick is from here to here. It's going to be very crucial. Many things are bleeding back towards the liquidation wicks, and that's one thing to consider, right? Many things are bleeding back towards the liquidation wick. Mids, right? If the mid holds, we know what, we're gonna go higher, right? So this is, I'm not even gonna mark that down. We know what in red, that's your liquidation wick mid, right? So that's all the crucial levels you want here for SWE, right? Let's now switch back to this and let's take a look. So what you're doing is we have a massive sell side imbalance on the way down. We're not surprised because again, there was a huge amount of liquidations here, right? We know there's a huge amount of trapped traders, right? There were probably loads of trapped traders. They've already been blown out. Look at the shorts. This is straight manipulation. No longs at all, just aggressive shorts being executed, right? So what I'm interested in is, once we are at these key areas, which we've started to hit, what kind of reaction are we getting of those key areas? So on the daily, aggressive selling is being rewarded, right? There's no question about it. That aggressive selling was rewarded. But can we get anything actionable off this is the real question. Let's take a look. So what do we have over here? In fact, for these lower time frames, I'm going to switch this to 150 perhaps. I think that would give us more data. Come on. Yep, perfect. So huge aggressive buying, not rewarded in this case, right? So we're just going sideways. This to me looks like, locally speaking, this looks like aggressive sellers are trying to breach us past this level, but they're not successful in doing so yet, right? Aggressive buyers are stepping in, and they're being absorbed, right? They're being absorbed from the limit sells, from the limit sells. That's there. There's people limit selling as well. However, the overall trend is, if we switch over to the 4 hours, if we switch over to the 1 hour, what we can see for now, let's see, that right there is beautiful, right? Aggressive buyers stepped in, and the candle is actually reflecting that. So aggressive buyers were rewarded here, right? Do we see a smiley face structure coming in here? I think I do. There we go. So if you wanted to try and take a trade on SWE right now, right, like a local trade, you could do this. It's a weekend, so be very careful with this, right? But it's based off structure, this is something you could do. And in fact, I'll take it one further. I'll put it below the point of control, right? And you're looking for a rate of these highs. I'll take it towards somewhere around here, right? That's something you can attempt on SWE, right? This is just more of like a local trade. If you want to get into spot SWE, then your invalidation is if you close below $1.68, you start turning that into resistance, you cut, right? But at the end of the day, don't forget, like I said, bullish divergence is coming in. More so on some other coins. SWE doesn't have the best one, but it does on MACD. And the main important thing here is aggressive selling. The last set of aggressive buys were rewarded, right? And the people that aggressively sold here, the market selling, we can see they're trapped. This is a weekend trade, so you know, I don't know if it will play out. Of course, you never know if a trade is going to play out before you take it. But in terms of a RR opportunity, is there, right? Perhaps a run on all this liquidity here before like under the lower high, and then you get a steeper drop. But that's something you can try in terms of risk to reward. That's a trade you could probably try. That's a very clear smiley face, right? The raid where we had trap traders, and if it fails, you're gonna go fill the buy side imbalance, and we can make further decisions after that. But let's see what kind of move we should get. Something like that you could try. Yeah. Trapped. So as long as you're above this, easy, right? You get below this, you might as well just cut. And you can put a tighter stop loss if you want. The reason I put a stop loss here is because that's below this point of controls, right? You know, you can make it even wider if you want. If you want to keep play safe, you could do like a 3% stop loss if you're targeting the actual key level here, right? That's something you could do. But I think the likelihood of this playing out is less. So I'd rather just keep it tight, and you guys know when you're wrong. Like you could literally just do this, right? If you lose that yellow line, which is where that smiley face is coming in, you cut. You could very easily just do that and just get in if, you know, $1.71 holds, for example, straight to the sell side imbalance. So where you put your stop loss is up to you, but you know where the key levels are. You either account for that point of control, you account for the actual smiley face structure itself, or you account for the entire range, the buy side imbalance, and you put it below there. Which one you choose, completely up to you. Depends on, like, you know, how wide you want it. Are you going to DCA or not, right? But if you want just a one bank trade, like just in, no DCA, just you know if you're wrong or you're right, I'll do at the widest, I'll do something like this. Stop loss below that point of control, and then you're trying to aim for that. And if you want to keep it really tight, something like this perhaps, right? But you know, it's at an actionable area in terms of risk to reward, right? If you're going to take a risk, Like, it'd be somewhere around here. That we haven't even challenged that trend line yet, so that's something I'd be careful of. So this one, obviously, but there as well, right there. There we go. That's a trend line flip, so it could definitely we definitely have a chance. Definitely have a chance. It's not guaranteed, but it's a chance. So that's a local trade you could take on SWE right there. One sec. Oh my days, the spreads are so terrible. Okay, yeah, but that's an opportunity, right? A high RR opportunity of structure we can identify. But it's the weekend, so take like don't go like all in with everything you have, because weekend is it's just very very open to just manipulation. Low liquidity conditions. Okay, let's look at ZIG next. That was SWE. But okay, so hopefully that was clear on SWE. Where areas we need to hold, right? That's this area we absolutely need to hold this on SWE. If not, it's not good. We're gonna see 138 to like 123 SWE next if this is not held. But many things approaching extremely key areas, as you can see, right? We're bleeding back into the mid of the liquidation wick, and if the liquidation wick mids hold, I think that's a good sign. A sign of relief for these alts. So next is ZIG. Let's go back here. Have I even got this? I'm not sure what it is. Let's look at focus. ZIG. Nope. Okay, something new to add to the... Do you know which one has? I'm gonna guess is the crypto chart, but also throw in the Bybit, Mexi, HTX, Gate, BitGetCoin. It's not gonna be Woo. Maybe KSEX. Not gonna be BitUnix. Fuck BingX, but it's alright. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, what the hell? Okay, so it's not Bybit. I don't like that at all. Nasty ass wicks, what's with them? Okay, I'll leave Mexi on for now. It's definitely not this one. It's definitely not this one, no? Yes, no, it's not that one. Wait, this has the lowest price though. 0.03. 0.04. I wish they'd have a feature on TradingView which lets you know which one has the oldest data. Like, just I don't have to manually do this. It's so tedious. Okay, I got rid of Mexi. I need to add Mexi back on. Okay, so it's either the crypto chart or the Mexi chart. If I want actual data, I'm gonna have to look at the Mexi chart in terms of because there's wicks to the highs. But then again, nothing else had these wicks to the highs, did it? Okay, we're just gonna go with this for now. I hate this because depending on which one I go with is gonna give completely different data. Let's go with the crypto one for now, because discounting those highs, here's one way to do it. This one is a 0.17. This one is a, okay, that's good, 0.17, meaning it's only that wick to the left, realistically speaking. So should we just do this then? Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look. Seller zone, we couldn't get above the seller zone, so we're going down, meaning right now what we're interested in is this for ZIG. So there's the macro read, boom. Okay, so this is your 2024 low. Oh, in fact, hang on. 2024 12-month macro read buyer zone mid. 2024 12-month. Okay, and then we're gonna do this. So here's your high, here's your low. This is 2023 high. This is 2024 low. 23, 24, 12 month mid. And last but not least, we have this. $2024 high. 2024 12 month seller zone mid. 2024 12 month seller zone low. Boom. Okay. Now you can do this with, like, you know, this as well, for example, as that might be worth doing since that's on the yearly candle. Just bang the macro read on. Yeah, that's worth doing. There's your macro read, and that's what we need from there, right? So we're gonna make that one red. Actually, let's save red for the liquidation wick. Let's make this one yellow. Yeah. Here's your 2022 high. 2022 12-month macro read, seller zone mid. 2022 12-month macro read, seller zone low. There we go. Perfect. Zig at very, very crucial areas then, as we can see. Literally the level you need to hold. If you manage to hold this, you have an argument for a smiley face, no matter how you look at it. But if you don't hold this, I have a feeling you're going to rebalance this right here. That's the only imbalance I can see that needs to be taken out. But there you have this entire vertical accumulation that was never retested, right? This is vertical accumulation. It was never retested. So if you lose 0.07, you might just go and actually retest that vertical accumulation finally before going higher. But that being said, this is obviously a low liquidity coin. You can tell from the wicks, right? You can tell from how it looks. This one doesn't even have a liquidation wick. If it does, it's all the way up over here. It's below its liquidation wick. Weekly fair value gap right here. What about the 6 months? I've not done anything on the 6 months yet. One sec. There, okay. So we have a So you add the zone right now where you want Zig to hold, basically. You really want Zig to hold here. If you do this and you start turning this to resistance between 0.07 and 0.0702 and 0.073, you're gonna go and raid 0.058 and tap into that weekly fair value gap, in my opinion, which is right over here. That gets tapped into, I think. If this turns into resistance, this gets tapped into. And what happens here dictates, do you go lower or do you sort of chop around for a bit? But Zig is very simple, actually. Like, you add the level, you need to hold it. It's as simple as that. We got time, we got hype. Let's take a look at those two too. But yeah, that's Zig. Like, it needs to hold 0.070229 basically, like this area, preferably this zone. You flip into support, you close above. If you do, you have another shot at retaking, 2022 12-month macro read seller zone mid and the 6-month highs. If that happens, you back up a range highs, 11 cents, nothing to worry about, and then you can worry about taking profits, selling, so on and so forth. But yeah, no, below that, this looks ugly. You turn this into resistance, this is going to look very, very ugly. Let's look at Tau next. Weekly should be here. Question is, which one am I going to use? Let me do this. Okay, so let's drag this bastard all the way down over here. Yeah, so I'm clearly going to use MEXC then. It has way more data. Okay, so like we mentioned, Tau SFP'd the T2, right? The second target of the harmonic. Tau went and hit that, SFP'd it on his way back down. It's within the range now, right? It's just back within the range. Loads of yearly levels. For Tau to be bearish here, really, you'd have to go and lose this floor, right? You'd have to go and lose this floor on Tau. If I go to the daily, I need to go and get rid of these. This is no longer valid. I can get rid of that, yeah. And this as well. You can, do I keep this for now, actually? Yeah, let's keep that for now. But Tau's back at yearly levels, right? It's back at yearly levels. And in fact, if we do this to this, I think we're due a retest very, very soon. A retest that we haven't had. That's been retested. This hasn't been retested right over here. And of course, we already know that one way below. So maybe we stab a bit deeper on Tau, back towards 278, 266. But if we get that, I add more Tau. It's as simple. The halving of Tau is happening in December. Again, just the reason why Zcash is running privacy token, 21 million fixed supply, just like Bitcoin. Tau is another one that has a 21 million fixed supply, right? And I believe all those that 21 million is going to be like a big thing, right? Fixed supply assets always going to be there's always going to be a reason why fixed supply assets are going to be bullish. There's only so many of them, so it makes sense to use them. The finite supply as a hedge against inflation and monetary debasement, right? So the halving is happening in December. Honestly, Tau, like, you know, this is one of those ones where, like, you know, if you're asking which one of the coins would I not mind slowly descending into for spot for the longer term, I'd say Tau is one of them, right? For the reason why Zcash was one of them back all those time before this big move up happened, I'd say Tau is another one of them. There's life in this chart. You know, you're just ranging for now. You're at yearly levels, right? You're at levels. Any spot you enter, you can offset risk by scalping. If you lose yearly levels, scalp to the downside, right? Scalp to the downside, so on and so forth. And even if you enter spot, you can just, you know, treat it like a leverage trade in the sense that if you lose your yearly levels, sell all your spot bags until you either reclaim or get lower, right? You don't have to use leverage to trade. You can trade with spot as well. But Tau, like, you add yearly levels, right? Like, when you look at 4 yearly levels back to back, you realize, right, this is probably not the place for me to go and just eat my entire bag, right? You add range lows, you're at yearly levels. One more drive down, sure, could happen. You might retest, right? You might retest here. Let's see, is there like a wave structure telling us we could go a bit lower on Tau? Let's take a look. Let's start from 389. No, 388 to this high, to this low, 618. Maybe like a 1.618 here. Yeah, so we could go and hit like a deep crab, not a deep crab, a normal crab, right, on Tau. This is completely normal behavior. Just a normal crab on Tau would take us to 1.618. It'd be a bit deep in the sense that it's past the 3.618. It's between it's up to the 3.618. That's your max extension, right? So you have a nice little PRZ here for Tau. Look, let me go and mark it down for you guys. This right here, 296.34, and this is the deepest you want it to go realistically. You want this sort of area to hold. This is going to be your crab, 1.618. And this right here, your 3.618 is going to be slightly higher just at this area. So next week, should we resume our dump, right? Depending on what we get. We don't really get big moves on weekends typically. This is the PRZ I'd want Tau to hold. You can rate the PRZ, I don't care, but let's say you go retest that trend line, you go and reclaim this straight away, right? This is your deep. No, this is your normal crab. Crab, 1 point. No, sorry, this is your 3.618. There we go. And that'd be your crab. So nice little PRZ coming up, right? And of course, that's not the only wave structure. You could do it from like other places, talk about a potential bat, talk about a potential shark, so on and so forth. But this is harmonics here. What about the actual structure itself? Like from this low, what are we blessed with here? Clearly nothing on up to this high, so it's got to be a shark. Now this one I'm not sure of, but I'll put it down just in case, right? But a lot more damage needs to be done for us to ever consider this shark. So for now, this is just an idea. Don't take it too seriously. We got to know what happens here first. But yeah, for Tau, even if you have one more drop, this would be nice. If you don't have one more drop, we have a yearly level here holding. Remember, this is just an idea. Until the harmonic actually hits, it's just an idea, right? So until this hits, there's no guarantees it has to hit, basically. So as long as you're above 330, Tau can send back up towards 388 to 395. That's the range, right? It can send back up there. So any trade you enter here, for example, on Tau, would be with 330 in mind. Looks like a smiley face is also attempting to form. Here, you do this. If that smiley face is like holding on Tau, right? You know, we could get a move up to a lower high here even maybe, right? Before we go lower. So these are all just things to consider, right? Right now, as long as you're above 330, you're fine on Tau to attempt to go back up, whether it be to 370 or 395 or 388. As long as you're above 330, that's what you're aiming for. If you get below 330, then I'd aim for this crab completion point on Tau. Okay, hype next. Hype, I do not have on this one. I think I have it on this one. Okay, maybe I don't have it on that one then. I have it on this one. It's there. Turn the what was the liquidity rate and to the front run of the of the golden pocket, rejected. Beautiful. But hype looks very good, right? In what sense? Well, this firstly, that dump, the parallel channel we're in, the mid got hit, right? Now I can get rid of this because that's not needed. In fact, let me do this clean. This I should have one for you guys here. Let's just yeah, let's look at this. There we go. This is hype. This one looks insanely strong, right? Honestly, hype looks insanely strong here. Simply because there's not many coins out there that's trading above its like previous range. Look what hype's doing. It's 2024 highs, right? Your previous highs, like your yearly highs, is right here. You're still above it. There's hardly any altcoins doing that right now. So this looks very strong. Which makes me think that eventually whenever we go risk on with crypto again, like it's hit or miss right now, right? Things pop off. For example, we got that 2x on Telcoin the other day, right? That one was a banger. If in case anyone missed that one, that was in crypto chat. Where is it? Where was Telcoin? It was this one right here, right? The entry for Telcoin. Because I got a couple of people DMing me saying, "Oh, why did you enter for Telcoin?" The entry for Telcoin could not have been simpler, right? In fact, if I could just go and show it real quick before I carry on here. Where's Tel? I think it's on this one, Telcoin. Yeah, right. The entry for this was very simple. The entry for Telcoin was literally just the fact that on log, Right, it's this one here. Here we go, right? Even on linear, it was a breakout, right? But on log, this is why you make use of both scales. It's very, very simple. Like, we're at the lows, we're at the lows, we're at the lows. It does not get easier than that. When we're at the here again, it does not get easier than that to manage risk, right? That's why I told you guys, look, Telcoin looks good in terms of spot RA, literally right here. Literally right over here. My average was like 3, what was my average? My average was, I can forward it. My average was 3205, right? That was the average buy, 3205. Easy 2x, like the easiest 2x. I know Gig got in, she's in the server. I know Ronnie got in as well into this. But yeah, this was such an easy buy, right? Easy buy. Simply because, again, this is why I keep preaching charts over everything else. Like, don't listen to what people have to say on Twitter. Don't listen to anything anyone has to say. Make your own decisions, right? Make your own decisions. Curate your feed. Because Telcoin, look, if it holds above this breakout now, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes for like 0.09, honestly. As long as you hold above this breakout, because that's a retest for Telcoin, right? But the actual entry could not have been easier. There's a reason I shared it when I did, right? Look, this is log. You know how significant log is, right? From the 19 low to the 2020 low to the 2024 low, right? You were back there again at 2025 for the 4th time. And you were holding, you were within this falling wedge. You have now broken out of said falling wedge. You have a reaction off the low, is what it is. Right now, if the daily holds here, we could very easily go and attack that final trend line that we have. Because if you break above this sends, like if you get above this, take some liquidity, this has more legs to go up, right? Telcoin always pumps hard when it does. Like the last time it pumped off this meme line, it was a total of 985%. Before that, the craziest one, if you guys, for those that were around here, 112,041%, right? So obviously diminishing returns on that, but still from here to another lower high doesn't even have to go to like the same area, right? From here to like even just the raid of this, maybe something like this, you have, you know, a total of 500, and from where you currently are, like another 182%, maybe 150 possible, right? So if you enter Telcoin here, it's obviously way higher risk because you can dump now and still be fine realistically, put a smiley face in. But you know, your invalidation now would be if you enter here, if you lose that trendline retest, you cut. You targeting this trendline first, right? And it's just this is all it is. You just look for high RR opportunities, and you just sort of take your bets. You're not going to win everything, right? But you know, you win more than you lose. As long as your RR is good, you know, you're going to be fine long term, right? But yeah, this one was a cook. Just wanted to update this one. But let's go. What were we looking at? We were looking at hype. Hype looks good because it is above, one of the only ones that's literally building above 2024 highs. There's your 2024 high. You're building above it. I'd wait to get above 39.65 personally, right? Because that's your liquidation wick high, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's your liquidation wick high. But realistically, if you get above 36.95, like, you know, you can just use that as your line in the sand, right? To take scalp the swings, so on and so forth, off. If you decide to enter spot, you just enter spot. And, you know, if you want a tight line in the sand, if you get below 35.51, cut it and re-enter around 32 to 28, right? Very simple on hype. Yeah, like it's compressing. I know it could go eventually, have a nice move up. So that right there. You probably have a bit more time to get this, but as long as you're above 29.79, realistically you're fine. As long as you're above this, you're fine on hype, right? You can chop around. As long as you're above 29.79, you want to stay above 35 for the best shot, of course. But as long as you're above this, the mid of your 2024 seller zone, you're fine on hype to eventually go higher. One of the only ones that's doing this. Very strong coin on hype. Let's go back here. Okay. I'll do one more over here. 1 second. The rest I'll have to do maybe like next week, because the streams. Because I want to go through a few other ones as well. So okay, out of those, let me choose LTC, because LTC, all of a sudden everyone was shilling LTC, right? Let's take a look at LTC. We've been talking about this one for a long time. Okay, LTC we know is a very, very old coin, loads of yearly levels on the left, right? So if you want to scalp, like, you don't need to do anything for LTC. You can literally just put all your buy seller zones in from on the yearly basis, and you have loads of levels. You can LTC is one you could easily scalp, literally just scalp and make your money. You could do that with LTC. But for a higher time frame perspective on LTC, Litecoin. Here. What's the one reason that I said LTC looks good, right? Well, it's the same for why I said XRP looks good, why XLM looks good, why Zcash looks good, why ICP looks good before that move up. Before any of these dino coins have had insane moves up, right? Is the fact that ever since this asset has been released, it has been putting in a new base for support. Right? So, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2022, 2024, and now 2025. 10 years, that's a decade. You see a decade of data right in front of you. And over those 10 years, any single time LTC has come down, had a sell-off, had been in a bear market, whatever you want to call it, it has failed. Sellers have failed to go and put in like a fresh low. What is that telling us? That's telling us over the last 10 years, just same words I use with every other market maker that does this, there is an absolute shock of a market maker that's circling the waters. Anytime he sniffs blood, he goes in an absolute feeding frenzy, right? Now, it could be one entity, it could be a collection of entities. Does not matter. The fact of the matter is, anytime LTC is given at a discount, supply is taken off the market. That's what this is telling us. You do not need any advanced TA to do this. You just need a understanding of price action. So as long as this is not violated, and there are 10 years to violate this, this is crypto, right? We have pumps and dumps that come out within, like, literally, I'll show you soon. We had a 150% pump yesterday, and within under the 30 minutes, it was down under the 100%. Right? This is 10 years worth of data. Arguably, this is older than XRP. This has been accumulating more than XRP has been accumulating. Right? So when you have something that has been, by textbook standards, has been accumulating for 10 years, there's a reason why you should perhaps consider that that asset might at some point reprice way higher in the future, because someone's been steady taking supply off the market. Now, this doesn't help with scalping. This does not help with taking RR based trades, right? This is purely, first and foremost, before you consider that, you need to have a basic understanding of what you're trading. Are you trading this simply because it gives you nice levels to trade? Are you trading this simply because you see an opportunity? Or are you wanting a longer term hold on this? People always ask me, how do you hold Zcash for 2-3 plus years? How did you hold XRP for so long, right? How do you hold your swing position for so long? It's because any swing position I get into, I've got conviction before I get into those swing positions. So, any LTC that I own, I've got conviction that until, unless the last 10 years were just big smoke and mirrors to, sigh up 10 years later someone to look at this and buy before they nuke it on them, which is very unlikely, unless it's a big sigh up eventually, I know that there is people out there, people with money that's putting this up, right? They're holding this up, they're accumulating this. So until that gets disproven, I like LTC. My average is way lower. Right? People's going to have averages of 105, so on and so forth. I've been talking about this for a long time. Average is lower on LTC, so I'm fine, right? For the challenge account, of course, I enter this. My average is going to be higher because I was obviously I didn't have the challenge account open in 2024, 2022, 2023, so on and so forth. But even given that, right, is the fact that someone's been sort of stacking this. That's what I'm looking at. Same reason why XRP went, same reason why XLM went, same reason why Zcash went. Any Dino coins, Dash, why did that pump 10x, right? Telcoin, why did that have a insane move up off that trend line? It's because these are areas where there's a clear area where people have been bidding. That's it, right? So you can then go and after that you can do your TA, you can put your buy seller zones on, you can put so on and so forth on. And then if you do that, you realize right now we are at very, very big resistance, right? We need to clear this area. I'm just going to go and mark it down. This is an area we absolutely need to absolutely get above. We need to get above this, no other way around it, right? This is just big resistance for Litecoin. Even if I just look at it this way, right? Very big resistance for Litecoin, and I think the way I'll do this is actually I'll go ahead and I'll just do this current cycle. High over seller zone, low over buy zone. That's the easiest way to encompass this entire area. That is, so as long as you're above 103 for Litecoin, you're good to go higher to 128. We can see we've had moves up to 128, reject it every single time. If you get above 128, you're good for 153. If you get above 153, you have weekly fair value gaps, so on and so forth. But realistically, above 153, you'd be targeting. You can put seller zones here, you can put seller zone here. You'd be targeting those higher levels, right? Note, we've only ever got to the 200 plus levels above, right? Above, like you need counterbody closes basically above 153, right? You do that, your next target would be 227. After that, it'd be 306. After that, it'd be 378. After that, it'd be 414. After that, all-time highs. But your line in the sand right now for Litecoin is 103.91. On the higher time frame, you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose that at all, right? If you can stay above this, we're targeting 128. If you can stay above that, we're targeting 153. If you go and do this, and you've got fresh Litecoin entries, just exit it and just add it a bit lower, right? If you want, just do that. But Litecoin above 103.91, that's good for higher in my opinion. To 128 to 153. Those are the two levels. That's the two range. We're not in the clear for Litecoin. That's the point, right? Even if you're 103, we have these two levels to turn into support before you can dream about 200, 300, 400, so on and so forth. So, we've got work to be done. But for now, as long as you have 103, 128 remains a target. That's Litecoin. There is so many more alts that I want to go over, but I don't know if we're going to be able to go over everything today. Zen, that's one we were looking at, right? Zen. Look, if this mid flip is successful, we could have a go higher because we're flipping all this resistance into support, right? Another thing I said on Zen, I gave this in crypto chat again yesterday, was we have a completion, right? What do we have? We have the retest that's successful here, right? We have a successful retest of this yearly levels of the trend line. We've gone and hit this again. This right here is probably where it is. There. We also had that harmonic, right? So I was telling you guys, look, as long as you're above this 1216, 1270, 1150, 86 area, look for higher. I believe we've now hit T1. Or we're very close to it. Oh, hang on. Shit, I don't think we... no, that's because it's... Let me get rid of the more advanced stuff from this chart. There you go. Yeah, T1 has been front run, right? We've hit the front run of the T1 level. We've hit the yearly level. Again, I missed that. That would have been a good short, right? But that was a good reaction on Zen, right? So from there to there, 37% move, right? From when I talked about this yesterday in crypto chat. So there's opportunity, right? The opportunity right now, like I said, is in alts. These are alts, for example, take a look at some of the other one, Filecoin, right? This had a nice move up and I had a nice move back down. Right now it's still below all the yearly levels, so like below this, I wouldn't give two shits about Filecoin. But if all we need to do is get above $2.34, you get above $2.34 on Filecoin, you are above the lowest point that's been put in the chart on a closing basis, right? Which is the 2022 close, right? That's the lowest point we've had. So you reclaim that. Like, why would you not take a bet on Filecoin, right? We just need to go and reclaim this. That's it, right? AR. Same thing. What do we have, right? We've had the lowest point, well, not the lowest point actually, I lie, but the 2021 12-month, right, the second lowest point, we've had that rated. We literally hit the macro read, right? If I go to previous cycle, there's your macro read, this buy zone. We hit the mid of said macro read, right? There's a seller zone there we can put down, but that's all fine. Let's delete this for now. The fact of the matter is, if you get above $6.17 on AR, firstly, there's this zone. We know this can fly, but even before that, if you take a look at this on the weekly, look at what we have on this. There's your accumulation right there, right? Here is your manipulation right here. Accumulation, manipulation. So as long as you're above this, guess what? it's very easy to see why a potential power of 3 player, right? Like an AMD model could be validated. Now, what would your target be? Fuck knows, right? We're just looking for distribution. I look to see, okay, where's, perhaps somewhere over here. Let's keep it a bit realistic. But you could, you could very easy to manage a trade. Invalidation could be if you go below these lows, in which case you have a very tight RR. You can execute this on a lower time frame. Invalidation could be you lose $2.455, in which case you have some breathing room, right? You can put your liquidation wick down. Invalidation could be if the liquidation wick is lost, then I cut, right? In which case you have a nice area where you could DCA if you enter here, right? So many ways you could play this. If you exit here, you can re-enter here should that hold, right? But as long as you're above 457, eventually you have a shot to enter the distribution phase, right? Which can, once again, from where you currently are, take you up about 252% to the 2024 high, right? Does it go exactly there? Who knows, right? But you just keep holding it till you see weakness, like on the way up, right? You either manage your risk at areas where RR is insane, or you keep holding it until you see weakness come in to take profits. But AR is another one, right? And there's so many of these coins. That's the thing. Like, you can just space bar through. This is just some of it. I won't be able to do the whole thing today. I'll make this like a 2-part thing. But Secret, another one, right? Just going through. I'm not saying get into all of these. I'm just showing you guys alts that can that have a very high RR play, even for spot, right? We look at file. Metis, another one, right? This is, as you just watch strength to come in at key areas. Metis, like look where it is. You've taken that, right? You've not rated it. You've gone into it. You've regarded it as support. So if you get above $10.26, let's say $10.265 for Metis, then you're looking at a move towards $16 next, right? That's a 60% move right there, right? Magic, another one. This one I've shared many times, right? You hit T1, back down for a type 2 return. As long as you're above this, right? If you zoom in, you can treat this as two different PRZs, i.e. you can have two different, you enter here. If you lose this, turn this to resistance on the lower time frame. Cut until you either get to this or you reclaim. Or you can just treat this as one big zone that you DCA through. And the invalidation is, if you, again, maybe your liquidation wick, you go and lose the mid of that, you cut. Which is there. Right? You lose the mid of your liquidation wick, you cut. But Magic's a very big area. Look at it, massive falling. We can't be surprised if this has a pump up towards 47 cents. If you get above that, 77 cents. If you get above that $1, we can't be surprised. Liquidity, right? Look at your liquidity arc. It's all here, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. And yes, this is below the entire listing low. But does it get more risk-free in terms of RR than this? Would be my question. And it won't, right? That's the point. Because it's not even the fact that, I think it's going to go up. It's the fact that the chart looks ugly. The chart looks absolutely beaten down. It's below all exchange listing lows in terms of MEXC anyway, right? But you have high RR areas based on the current data, based on the wave structure you built that led to this area, right? You have PRZs, you have areas you can manage your risk around. So you have a chart that is already beaten to absolute death, right? Within an inch of his life has been beaten down. And then you have high R opportunities on said chart. Why would you not take it? Right? You don't need to put much. You can put 1,000 in spot. There's something little, 1,000, 3,000, and just forget about it. If it goes to zero, it goes to zero. But it's not going to go to zero because you're going to manage your risk anyway, right? But if you're right, that can give you some very, very nice returns. So Magic is another one I'd honestly look at in terms of risk to reward, in terms of market structure, in terms of where you are. This could end up playing out very, very nicely. And if this is lost, you don't need to hold this, right? It's what it is. If this is lost, you don't need to hold it. But you're so close to literal zero, what's the risk you have buying here? Right? Anyone with half a brain or anyone with half a money to throw around, they want to make some quick money, they can put money into this and just pump it up straight away. So Magic is another one I would honestly consider, right? Just take a look at it. So many. MKR, that's another one, right? Maker. ONG, literally I was spacebarring through master list, just added some. I've not added all, just added some. Pith, right, that's another one. Because I'm just looking at ones that have taken the lows, right? Pith has also taken the low right here. So if you think Solana's going to run, why would Pith not run, right? So Pith, that's another one, right? We'll look at, we'll do proper tier on this next time. Because next time I won't do any Bitcoin intro, so on and so forth. We'll just go straight to alts. RLC, that's another one. Right, in terms of you just need to raid these lows and you're good. You haven't raided those lows yet, but if you raid these lows on RLC, right here, rate to reclaim, it'd be a really nice bid in my opinion, right? We looked at LTC, Fed, that's another one. This one also I shared in this is literally in the old section. We've gone and hit the second PRZ now, right? Fed, another very easy one to manage. Like, look where you are on Fed. For those of you that have done advanced, this is the point of control and value area low of your impulse up, your last macro impulse up, right? Support. The entire thing, support. Your external deep crab and your bad 2.618, right? All this, support, right? So massive PRZ here. So very easy to manage your risk here on Fed. Very, very easy for spot to manage your risk, right? Here, invalidation could not be simpler here. Like, you lose these, right? You lose this general area here, like this. You lose that area, you can DCA through this area, you lose this, turn it to resistance, just cut. There's nothing stopping you from cutting. But as long as you're above this, there's always a shot that this can go higher. Right? So that's Fed. And that looks like a 1.13 of a bat as well. So that's another PRZ we've got going for us, right? But Fed, Sonic, that's another one. Below 2023 low, it's probably, one sec. There's something wrong with this. There's a 2022 low right over here. We have a yearly fair value gap. That's what I was looking at. Look. There. Above the middle of the yearly fair value gap. You get above 16413. Sonic has reasons to go higher. And there's so many altcoins, right, that look like this, where, you know, it's ugly. This is the area where everyone's going to be giving up. This is the area where one sec, guys. Delete that because that's no longer applicable. Let's say, yeah, this is the area where everyone's going to be giving up. But this is not where you like cheat your spot backs. Take a look at where you are, and you know, step away from emotions and you ask yourself: is this where you sell? Is this where you step away from the market because you believe there's nothing else to be extracted, or is this where you see where opportunity is and try to capitulate on that when everyone's max fear, everyone's bearish, right? Sonic, another one in my opinion, very easy to manage risk on a spot back, right? Many of these I've got in the challenge account. Right, Algo, another one. Like, just take a look at this. Doesn't matter whether you look at it on linear, doesn't matter whether you look at it on log. Why would you not take a risk here on Algo, right? If you lose that, sure, you might be able to go over here, right? But as long as you're above this, everything's fine. You know, as long as you're above that, easy to manage risk, right? You've gone into your actual, let's say, trend line in terms of buying. Like, look how low risk it is. Look where you are. Look how low risk it is. Just literally one. There's your buy zone. Yeah, we need to get above, 0.17. But in terms of slowly accumulating, in terms of slowly bidding, like maybe building a position out, like this is where you do it. You don't do it anywhere else. This is where you do it. If you want to play level by level, wait until you get above 17252 or wait until you go to 12820, right? Easy. No need to overcomplicate it. You can either DCA over time, you can either do just one big size level by level, which requires more active, like, port management on your part. No matter how you do it, this is the areas where you pay attention to these coins, right? IOTA, another one, same story. Look where it is. Would you not want some of this in your port at these levels? Where you're going to buy once it goes to 43 cents, right? You're going to buy at resistance like most people, or you're going to take the risk here, right? Forget the noise, forget the fact that everyone's flipping bearish and bullish every other week. Just reduce the noise and look at the charts. As long as you're above 0.0859, what do you do on IOTA? I can't tell you. I'm not a financial advisor, but I would be bidding this, right? You just build a spot bag out. You don't need to choose every single one of these. Choose a few you like and put it in. Unless you've got like a really big port and you can afford to throw 3 to 5k in each of these, right? Choose a few. I'm going to be choosing 8 to 10 max with like 3 to 5k size, right? For my low cap portfolio, and for my challenge, for the challenge account, I'm going to be doing similar. I'm going to choose some of these, right? Fed, Algo, IOTA, maybe LTC, so on and so forth, right? Tau, Zen, and just going between those. I'll update that as I do it anyway. But as long as you're above 0.0859, why would you not be in this? You look at this chart and you honestly tell me what's making you scared to buy here, and what's the reason you'd be happy to buy this at 45 cents. That's just psychology, because it's easy to buy green candles, right? But this is where you would bid this IOTA. It does not get simpler than that. Invalidation could not be simpler. You go below 0.0859, you cut. It doesn't get simpler. Right? You're at the low of your historical price range. Inflection area is up like 200 and something percent. Right? 203%. Easy 3x on your current size. You could go all in IOTA, and I'm not saying go all in, of course, but you could manage a position on this over time, right? and you know you could walk away with something like a 200% gain, or if you're building a position up over time, which is what I recommend because stop loss is like 40% away, or you know you build an average out and eventually you're wrong by like 20% or something. Easy. You don't even need to look at 10 different ones. You can literally focus on one. Focus on one with size, you'll make money. Right, eGold, lows rated, right? Lows rated. Would you not want to own some of this at this particular level, right? The last attempt over here when buyers were holding it didn't play out, it went even lower, even better, right? Would you not want to own some of this at this level? You know, put your monthly. For many of these, you can go and put your monthly, buy zones down, so on and so forth, and just play around that. But would you not want to own some of this at this level? Because what's your risk? Your risk is, you know, you start closing below this, your risk is, let's say 30%, right? 30% versus what's your reward? Well, if you take all of this out, I'm not saying you go all the way up over here, but even if you go literally just to the mid of this, let's say, right? You're talking about 457% reward. Why would you not partake in some of these? Like, I'm not saying you enter here because you're definitely going to go up. I'm saying you enter here because can you honestly ask for better prices? Because people might be like, oh yeah, I'm going to wait for lower, but if you get below this, you don't want to own it, right? Because you're below every conceivable level. Like, what's stopping it going to zero if you start accepting below this low? Nothing. But as long as you're above this, you have a reason to be in this trade, right? So, eGold, another one. OGN. This one is below everything. So, you know, there's charts that look better. But again, this is one of those ones where I'd say look at your monthly, look at your liquidation wick. As long as you're above your liquidation wick, you can take a shot, right? You can take a shot. But I'll go IOTA, eGold, they look better than OGN in my opinion. Telcoin, we've already talked about it. Same exact reason I was telling you guys, like in terms of RR, it looked cracked there. Like if you were not going to buy here, Telcoin, where were you going to buy it? So I can't be surprised we have a massive green candle that's printed. No. Right? Because when I told you guys to buy this one in crypto chat, you were at the area where you were going to take a risk on this. Because if you didn't, you'd have to wait way lower, way lower before you bid again, right? So if buyers were going to step in, it's going to be here, and they did, right? ICP, hopefully we get some sort of higher low here, basing structure, and then we carry on going higher. Boom. We want to get above that mid, of course. Can I do this? Or no, it's better with this one here. Yeah, that's fine. Can I extend this to the right is the question. Oh, they've added a... Why have they done that then? And we can we change this? Okay, yeah, so it's just fibs. Okay, nice. There we go. So that high low also gave us a retest of that, you know, that there. Yeah, that's fine. ICP looks fine, right? ICP looks good. GRT, another one. You've got a double bottom that has not raided. It literally ticked it, right? You ticked it just above. So that right there, 0.03. Was it a perfect 0? Yeah, literally perfect double bottom. If you're talking equals, this is it. Which makes me think, would they leave the equals behind? But again, it's like, as long as you're above this, again, just keep it simple. Why would you not bid GRT? Here's your liquidation wick. And now all of a sudden you have a very beautiful area that you need to hold. As long as you're above that on GRT, you'd be looking for higher. If you get below this, look to raid the equal lows and you'd buy once that raid happens, right? Because you can ask for a better entry if you got that raid. There. But you know, any bids here you're looking to take back, so even from where you currently are, you're looking to take this back up towards this, right? Again, that's about 200%, right? So you've got loads of this asymmetrical, again, like I said, one-sided bets on many of these coins, right? CVX, I talked about this one. Does it get easier than this, right? That's the question. And the answer is no, it doesn't. Like, this is, if not here, then where? Gotta ask yourself, right? If not here, then where? Like, if I go to CVX here, 2021 low is right over there. You have, now there must be a reason why I marked that. Must be something. Why did I mark it? I always do this and I forget. Monthly order block, that's it. 2021 low there, monthly order block mid there, right? Again, very easy if you're gonna, even if you're looking for like a leverage trade, very easy to manage your risk here, right? You know, here you would long something like this, and the stop loss is literally just there. Look, if you wanted to leverage trade something tight, you could do that. Aim for this, and if you get above that, aim for that. But more importantly for spot, this is the zone where you would take the risk, right? Because 2021 lows here, 2024 low is right over there. If you get below 2021 low, you get to 2024 low. If you get below that, liquidation wick mid, which again is right over here. Here. Right? So this beautiful area, should you get below this. But look where you are, right? Doesn't matter whether you look at it on linear or log. Well, it does in terms of the fib levels, but this right here, that's your level. It's the mid of your liquidation wick. So CVX, you look at this on the yearly, you look at this on the monthly, and you realize, damn, look where we are. Why would you not take a risk with a little bit of spot? Just buy it, forget it. You either get invalidated at the trade, or like, you know, you've taken a bet at some of the best places you could for the chart, and it's going to play out in your favor. Right? CVX. Rose, similar thing. Let's take a look at where Rose is. Right? Once we get above 0.03, this flies. But if you look at Rose more locally, looks similar to AR, right? Like, you know, you've got this low right over here. You have this sort of consolidation structure going on. And if you can hold this consolidation structure as support, you'll be going higher. Now, again, this is not as nice as a chart as Algo, eGold, IOTA, so on and so forth, some of the rest. Like, this is making lower highs and lower lows still. But now on the weekly, you're also putting in bullish divergence. Back-to-back bullish divergences. Right? Same thing on MACD. Right? MACD's been putting in bullish divergence across all of these lows. So these, in my opinion, right, these alts, I don't know when, right, and obviously this is not a guarantee, it's just my opinion, but I'm of the belief that they will have some sort of like exit pump. They will have some sort of big pump. Will everything catch the rotation? I don't know. Will the pump be huge? I'm not saying we're going to go all the way up to 17 cents again. I don't know. But we're oversold. We have we have bullish divergence building up on the weekly for some of these, right? You're at the lowest levels on the chart. If you get an opportunity to take a high RR play, why would you not take it at these levels? You would not be prioritizing shorts here. Look at this chart and tell me, you know, if anyone flexes Rose short PNLs here, it's like, cool, bro. But, you know, you had loads of areas where you could actually short technically better, right? This is not where you look for shorts actively. This is where you look to build bags and look for longs actively. I'm not saying, you know, go long every 3 minute, like high or low. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying look for that structure to be on your side. Once it's on your side at these levels, you can see. I've only shown you guys so much today and very little, and you can see like how much opportunity we've got here. Trump, another one I'm keeping an eye on, right? Stock, this is another one, very important sort of structure building here. We have this huge consolidation period, as you can see right here. The consolidation has raided as well. Of course, we saw the liquidation raid the other week rather, sorry. But here's your consolidation right there. You get above this consolidation, or you're at the mid of the consolidation, so on and so forth. Like, for example, you could do this on stock right now. Something like this, right? You get below the mid, you just cut because you might get the lows again. But all you're waiting for is a flip of that high now. You flip these highs, and you know you're gonna have trouble along the way. Of course, you're not gonna go. It's probably not just gonna be a one shot up. But above these, Starkness is going to fly. It's what it is, right? Look, you get it back above that, Starkness is gonna go up. So there's so many. Like, I know I keep saying it, but there's so many. AR, we've already looked at that. CRV, another one. We've murked this, right? We took an insane play on this one already. Look where we are, same areas. This is something I'm interested in. I can't help it. You know, these are areas where I'm interested in this one. Right? Time to read this up. So let's take a look. What was I looking at CRV the other day? Let's get... I'm looking at... there. Where is it? Is it... here. I swore I was looking at something. Where's it gone? Right, let's go back to normal. In fact, let's go back here. Get off log. let's hide everything. There. What was I looking at on CRV? Let's take a look. So 2 levels on CRV would be, in fact I've already got them down here. So we have the 2020 12-month buy zone low, that's the buy zone, and we have 2024 to consider as well, of course. So let's go and hide that one once. Okay, number 1, that's 2023 seller zone, that's fine, don't need that right now. 2022 month macro series says another, don't need that right now. This, we have that, and of course we have this also. Previous cycle, 2024 has closed since then, so I can put this down. 2024 low, 2024 12-month buyer zone mid, and this is 2024 12-month buyer zone high right there. Okay, this right here, right? Take a look. Support, support, resistance, support. There. As long as you're above this on CRV, you are at the areas that has, in many cases, marked the literal low on the chart. So once again, I ask you, why would you not take a bet on this at this area? Why would you not build a position out as long as you're building above this? Why would you not do that? Right? Here, there's the mid of your liquidation wick, and everything lines up in this area. Right? You can see how significant this area is. So once again, why would you not take that bet at this area? Here, you're within another buy zone, seller zone, whichever one this one was. There. Could not be simpler on CRV. As long as you're above this, and in fact, I could probably put another diagonal here, but this one is, if you're wondering what the red box is, it's that buy zone right there, right? Above that dotted white line, it's like, you know, there's so many levels here, there's so many levels, but that's why you look at this in terms of structure, and in terms of structure, what's evidently clear is this area, support, resistance. As long as you're above this, you're at the area that's historically marked the low on CRV once, twice, thrice, 4 times. It's marked the low for CRV. And at minimum, you're looking to take range highs. So again, from where you currently are, 214% pump high, right? So CRV, another one. I ask you, why would you not attempt to build a bag? Why would you not want some of this at these areas? When everyone's bearish, everyone thinks it's all over, but you're at, historically speaking, the most important place for CRV. Because if you lose this, you get CRV at 24 low and maybe even lower again. You don't need to hold below that. It's very evident, right? But above this, come on. These are the areas where you pay attention. You don't say, oh yeah, I'm going to pack it up till 2026, right? You know, October 2026, and I'll come back and magically everything's going to line up perfectly for a 4-year cycle. No, not every cycle is going to be the same. Bitcoin might have topped out, might not have, right? Right now, on a weekly basis, 2-week basis, like we said, it looks very, very likely that Bitcoin has topped out. But monthly hasn't given up yet, right? So let's take a look at what happens on Bitcoin, of course. But Bitcoin is not going to really have much of an impact on this, right? If altcoins decide to go, they're going to go now, right? It's what it is. Liquidation rotation is going to be happening. So when you're at areas like this, where it's so easy to build out a bag, to build out a position on these coins, why would you not take the risk? Polkadot, another one. Why would you not be interested in an asset like Polkadot, which is rated its entire lows, right? It's at some of the lowest risk areas you could to just buy and hold some spot. I already have that for DOT, so let's look at this and let's get rid of all of these. Let's get rid of this. Macro fibs, forget why that one's there, but get rid of this. In fact, let's just put new ones on. There's your range markers, yeah, that's fine. Group 2 is that get rid of it. Let's analyze Polkadot on the monthly and understand where we are. Here is your low, and I would argue like here is your high. That encompasses everything. In fact, you could just do this. Like there is your range, right, on Polkadot, right there. The lows have been taken, we know that. Right now, you've not flipped that sort of range lows, that structure back into support, but as soon as you see this on Polkadot, something like that I could very easily see happening. So once again, we either go and claim this, right? And in fact, why don't I'm just going to go and put the buy seller zones on. One sec. Let me turn that off once. So we have over here this. That one I can do this with. Oh, actually no. One sec. So if I look at the monthly, this is August. Yeah. That one's fine. We know that one. So it's mainly this one here for now. There's 2023 low. (2023) 12-month buy zone mid. 2023 12-month buy zone high. We've got the macro read and stuff, of course, if there's another buy zone there, but that is what we need to get above, right? That much is clear. That's what I'm trying to point out here. And of course, we have this. That's yielding us resistance. So this is 2020 high. This is 20/21 12-month buy seller zone mid. 2021 low. And you can put the macro read on, you know, be my guest, so on and so forth. But for now, it's evident what needs to happen. We need to go and reclaim this. Now, if you go to the 6 months, there's your 6-month buy zone. So there's some work to be done on Polkadot, but you go and reclaim this, right? What we need to do, we need to go and do this on Polkadot. This, you start getting above this area, you have a lot of upside potential on DOT, a lot. Like if you want to keep it simple and not have loads of levels, you just look for where is your range. Your range is you go and take these highs out. That's it. 207% above this level. Right, so once again, you got areas where it doesn't matter if you don't buy yet for Polkadot, right? Some you can already start to build positions. Some you don't have to do yet. If you use the 20/40/40, it's completely fine to get into Polkadot here. With your initial, like, you know, I'm a very deep value areas. I just want a bag of this with that part of the entry. But another one where, you know, some structure comes in, Polkadot flies, right? It's just everything's been taken. Liquidity matters. The entirety of the low has been taken. So if you're talking in terms of liquidity as a trader, why would you still target this downside? Why would you not target this, right? What's the point in targeting this low? Right? So Polkadot's another one. We've looked at Tau. That's just some of the alts as well, right, guys? There's some of the alts. There's way more. If you look at master list, my list is huge. I've not gone through everything yet, right? We'll do so through, we'll do so at with other streams as well. Dash, same thing, right? The logic behind why Dash went, like since 2014. Look, right here. I mean, this one was looking a bit in the sense that you did have fresh lows over here, but look where you are on Dash. Log levels being respected. Let's do this. Perfect. Now, look at you at the lows, right? You were at the lows, and those lows yielded, like, you go and put it to data that was already on the charts. Those lows yielded a nice pump. So if Dash now breaks out, that's what he needs to do. This carries on running higher. If it doesn't, nice little pullback, and if you pull back towards 40s, if you pull back towards 30s, it's probably worth getting back in because, you might finally get that breakout, right? But yeah, there's so many. You know, we'll look at it in other streams as well. We haven't even touched on stocks yet, right? But stocks hasn't really changed. Still looks very, very good. Everything's still going up, right, on stocks. Um, you know, people ask me, why do I like Neo? Why do I like, you know, Rivian? Why do I like Lemonade? Why did I get into Lemonade? Well, the Lemonade was simple. The structure, look, accumulation, broke out, retested. This is literally what Link did before it ran, right? Lemonade has now hit the 2.24, 2.618, right? So of course, nice little pullback. Doesn't mean it's over. It's just pullbacks in an uptrend. Wouldn't be surprised if we get 92, 99 soon, right? Those are targets as well. Neo. Why do I like Neo? Well, take a look at where we are on Neo. Why would I not like it? Why did I tell you guys to buy? I didn't tell you to in terms of wave structure. I told you guys because, like, you know, look how I don't think it's going to get lower than fibs. But look, 618, 1.618, 3.14. We have the crab 1.61 and 3.0, the 3.14 of the crab, right? All of these areas. We've now gone and hit that. So if Neo comes back and it gives us a higher low, fills some imbalances, great. I'll add more Neo. Simple as that. I will simply add more Neo because T1 hasn't even been hit. Even from where we currently are, T1 is still 77% away, right? Not 77, sorry. 87% away. If you get to T2, 170%. You know, if you ever get some sort of max extension, who knows? 533, but this is a stock. Who knows when that's going to happen? This is the more obvious range, right? 174% to T2 from even where we currently are. From the entry, I actually got you guys in at this group, 379% to T2. Right? Why would I not like it here? Doesn't matter what you're looking at, crypto stocks, I don't care. I'm trading price action, I'm trading structure, I'm trading TA. That's it. Right? So Tesla, if you get a nice pullback on this, which we're getting now, right? You know, this is something I think reprices higher in the future. Tesla, for me, any pullback's a bid, right? So keep an eye on this one. If you're not in, like, you know, you get a nice pullback like this where the gaps have been filled and at a key level, T2 of the harmonic, you know, don't be scared to like bid some of this. Like if you're looking for some Tesla, right? And invalidation is if you lose 383, just cut until you get deeper, like simple, right? But there's, you know, there's so much. This looks a bit toppy now on Rolls Royce. Let's see what happens. But that, oh, are we about to get a nice pullback finally? I'm gonna read this up. Probably my best stock play this cycle. Insane move. Wish I'd called it for the clout, but I didn't call this one. I just got my friends and family in this one and myself. But yeah, let's take a look. BlackBerry, that looks fine. Hood, Rivian. Like I said, don't be surprised if Rivian pulls back, right? We discussed this. There we go. There's the pullback, right? Put this in the stocks chat. We had the inverted smiley. I gave you guys this right over here. We had the inverted smiley. I said, don't be surprised if Rivian pulls back here, right? So we got the pullback. What is this and why is it on my screen? Don't know, but there's a gap here on Rivian. Do we fill the gap first? Do we carry on going down? Who knows? But Rivian can come all the way back down to 12 and I don't give a shit. This is long term for me, right? I don't care if, you know, we SFP'd the trendline breakout one time. I honestly don't give two shits. For me, this is long term, right? The structure here looks absolutely beautiful. We rejected off yearly levels. It's what it is. Let's take a look. Do we have structure? That looks like a butterfly, perhaps. Maybe. Actually, no, that's too deep. Oh no, that is perfect. It's not a 272 though. That's the problem. It's not a 1.272. Seven, 8, 6 is right here. Hit the 1.618, that much for sure, right? Close to a butterfly. 7.2 would have been nice, but that's way deeper. So I'll leave that on for now in case it hits in the future at any point. What did we have? We had this right here. What am I looking at? One sec. Could have sworn there was something here. Oh, that's a bit 586. No, that's nothing there. I could have sworn I saw something here. One sec. No, that's not deep enough. Was it this one? There was an M shape here somewhere. I remember a very nice M shape. There we go. 0.618 is going to be right over here. 502, and then the 880, right? The deep Garley did end up hitting, right? The normal Garley and the deep Garley. So again, for harmonics, here's your high, here's your low. Lock it in place. Get rid of the more advanced stuff for the people on the tube. Here. Flipped T2 above. 20.54 is the primary projection, which we've not hit yet, right? There's a weekly buy seller zone. So we go here, current cycle right there. There's your weekly buy seller zone. You're at the middle of the weekly. As long as this holds, you're good. As long as this holds, you're good. Right, this area here, the weekly buy seller zone. Even if not, you come all the way back down. I don't care. Back of the range lows, I'll just add more Rivian. Right, the structure's just there. Multi-year structure is there. And then looking to take, you know, we're looking to, let's see how high it gives us, right? Just patience with stock. That's all it is. Intel finally tapped into this mid, so now I just want structure to come in before I bid some of this. But that's a nice pullback. I'm interested in this now. Not yet, because on the weekly, let's take a look, right? The sell-off doesn't show signs of stopping yet. RSI still going lower. MACD's sell volume still high, so not going to buy this yet. I want more strength to come in before I bid, but keeping an eye on it for sure. But yeah, so fresh, right? That other one I gave a couple streams back. Nice little move. Nothing too crazy, but again, it was if you weren't going to bid this here, where are you going to bid it, right? It's one of those ones. Metaplanet, just no signs of strength. So even though we're at nice areas, if there's no strength, no bids, right? No reclaims, nothing of key levels. So just keeping an eye on it. Baidu, let's take a look. This was the one that gave us the monthly breakout, I believe. It's going to be in one of these. Yeah. You flip this into support 2022 high, you're fine. You're just chopping around resistance for now, right? That's it. You're just chopping around resistance. Even if you get the gap fill like we talked about, still bullish. Of course, you want to break out of this eventually. But for now, 114.38 on Baidu. As long as you're holding that, you're above your 2022 highs. So that's fine. XPEV, nothing much is happening here. AAL. One thing I was looking at the other day was Cocoa Futures. For those of you that were looking at this a while back, this had an insane run, right? This is something that's been running crazy since 2020, not even 2022 lows, but since 2020, this has been running absolutely crazy. If Cocoa Futures can get back above that yellow, right, this runs. If not, then it's what it is. But for now, you have the potential for a nice smiley face coming in on Cocoa Futures. So, do we roll over or do we flip this into support? Let's see. Is Cocoa Futures going to run? This is the other one I shared with you guys, CRE, right? Critical Elements Lithium Corporation. It's at a very, very nice area, right over here. We just need confirmation. We just need this to flip, so on and so forth. You can go. C3 AI, at your key level, sure, but again, no strength coming in right now. I think they have a earnings releasing soon. I think in December, I'm not sure, but the earnings could, the earnings could catapult to this upside. So as long as strength comes in here, as long as you see aggressive sellers being absorbed, as long as you see structure being held, the lows being respected, you couldn't ask for a better place to bid this. But if all is lost, then if you can start getting trading below 1337, you start retesting this into resistance, then probably not the best one. But I like this, right? In terms of where we are, in terms of the wave structures we have, I like it. I'm just going to keep an eye on it for now. Same thing with Snap. Anti-Hero was the one who asked about this. Looks decent. We hit the Shark T1 the other day. We have a Type 2 return, right? So if you can flip this into support, Snapchat can run. Range lows. Yes, it's a nice one, right? It's a nice look. And then what is this. I saw Neil post this on his Twitter, so I was charting it the other day. Looks decent, this one. I saw Neil post it yesterday. I was like, let's take a look at it, and yeah, this looks good. My take on it would be above that 886, above this, like, you can see where you are. This runs, but this is just my take on it. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know, like, I'd never looked at this stock before. I saw Neil post on his Twitter. I was like, holy shit, that looks good. So this, above this range, like, you know, T1, T2, like, you're looking at it. So if anyone wants to play this, like, I'd personally be playing it with this level here. Like, as long as you're above this, you'll be looking at this. But yeah, again, this is not like, you know, I'm not taking credit for this one. This one I saw Neil post yesterday and I thought it looked really good. So I just looked at it myself and this is what I see on it. But yeah. So yeah, you can see those are opportunities with stocks. We got loads of opportunities with altcoins. Like, markets always work in liquidity. It works in cycles. It's not always bullish. It's not always bearish. The problem is people always remain a bull. People always remain a bear. They don't manage their risks and they just play it wrong, right? They step away when things are hard. They buy once things get easy, but once things get easy, it's too late. And once things get hard, like, that's not when you step away. It's what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, you play the markets as it comes. Like, when you see opportunity, you take an unbiased approach. When you see weakness, you take an unbiased approach. Like, it's what it is. There's no, you know, bull market. There is a bull market, there is a bear market, right? But it's not always that. There's, you know, you can make money trading in between that. You can make money swing trading, right? Which is the point I try to prove this cycle, right? Swing trading is what I focus the challenge accounts around. No leverage, just swing trading. Very few leverage, low isolated swings even, right? None of my usual, like, you know, high leverage shenanigans. So you just take it as it comes, right? So, you know, we got loads of opportunities in the stock market still. We have loads of opportunities for altcoins still, right? It might be quiet for a few months. It might go tomorrow. Who knows? But all I know is it doesn't matter what time it is. All that matters is, are you within your risk parameters around key levels? As long as you are, don't care how long it's for. Why would you not bid and hold? It's something to ask yourself, right? So, slightly long stream, guys. I didn't go over all the altcoins I wanted to today, so I'll make like a part 2 sometime next week where we go over more alts, right? And more of your guys' requests. This was more of like a just general, like, you know, let's start this. Let's take a look at where we are, right, in terms of stocks, in terms of alts, so on and so forth. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. And what I'll do is I'll end this recording. Do I have anything else to go over? Let me just think. No, I don't have anything else to go over. Okay, so I'll end this recording here. And